Welcome back. This is gonna be another one of Porch Talk that's not in the porch, but it is Black Friday, so we're gonna do 25% more questions. See, 25% of more of a question than typically, because I'm a generous guy. So, starting out, the very first, well, if you're new here, here's what we do. I go through back all the videos from last month, and I pick out a handful of questions from the comments, and I answer them live on this recorded camera. So, stick around. Here's Sassy Pants.
Alrighty, the first question, we are working on the Porch Talk from October, episode 2. And the question is, do you ever clean up manure out of your corrals and spread it in the fields?
So, you guys, if you're watching for a while, you know we feed a lot of our feed out on the fields. With the pickup, when I feed with the wagon, I'm feeding out on the ground, different spots all the time. There is a little bit of lots, feedlot activity where we have to feed, and that is cleaned up, but it's very minimal. For the amount of cattle I have, last year, about every other year, every third year, I will hire someone to come in, and last year, just for reference, 2 years of manure was $1,700 to haul it out. That's how much manure I had to haul out, which was, I don't remember how many loads, but they came in with a crew payloader and a couple big spreaders, and it was $1,700. So they worked for maybe 3 hours, and that was all I had. And that's 3 years of manure.
Alrighty, the next question is, what is the story on the airplane propeller that hangs on the outbuilding that got moved?
So that was a little vet shack, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think what that was from an old, what they called a wind power generator. So back in the old days, there were, before electricity, there was a little windmill that would charge like some dry cell batteries, and that's what it was for, was a little windmill, I believe. That was in one of the old buildings around, either at Jim's or at our place, and we just hung it on the wall there because it kind of looks neat. But I'm almost 100% sure that's what that was. But leave in the comments if you ever grew up having one of those little generators or whatever back before power was around.
Okay, we have a traveler with us. Ellie is home for Thanksgiving.
It's not a traveler. That's Ellie.
I know, she's traveling with us. Ellie. Anyway, she's along with us. She's home for Thanksgiving. Fun to have her here, and she's going to ask one of the questions.
What's the story on all the different dogs?
So all the dogs, we have, the labs are all registered labs, and throughout the years, I've been raising puppies since I was in high school, so many, many years. And then once the kids were old enough to kind of take interest and do the chores, we would give the kids a dog or two, and they would raise a batch of puppies, and that's kind of how they made their money going through school and as they grew up. So that's where the labs came from. We've just always had them. We got a registered St. Bernard. We've only had 2 of those female St. Bernards. And then now we're trying these cow dog crosses, Corgi Heeler cross cow dogs. That's the dog story.
All right, and the last question for this video is, how did Sassy Pants get her name?
Well, the long version story of Sassy Pants was we were doing a fencing project years ago when I was doing custom fencing, and I found a letter or a thing on the ground, and the return address was Sassy Pants, which was some type of lingerie, order online lingerie. So the word Sassy Pants started floating around, and then Kari's had many nicknames throughout our marriage, and currently Sassy Pants is what's going on. So
all right, we're taking a look at the video. First time using the AeroQuick Bud Flow.
Are you going to be using the building to store anything in the winter?
So the building, no, it's pretty much going to be full of the cattle working facility. There will be a little bit on each side to store a few things, but not a storage building.
Kind of to match that and to answer why it's really not a storage building is, how big is the building?
Was that a question?
Yes.
I guess since it is Black Friday, we can do that follow-up question. What was it? 30 by 60 is what the building is. Close to 20 feet at the peak.
And the working stuff is about 58 feet long, so it filled the whole length. There was a question, how much are the mats if a guy wanted some fence line bunks, and could I drive down to buy them?
That was a Canadian viewer, and I did respond to him, but Dane's website is dfcattlemats.com. He ships mats all over the country, so go to that website. His cell phone's on there. He'll work with you. He does do some delivering on bigger loads within the tri-state area, so the best thing for the mats is just to reach out to Dane, get yourself some figured out.
Now the question is, do you check the weight of any of your calves?
We don't weigh our calves. Our chute doesn't have a scale, but if someone was to give me a scale, I would probably put it on there, and I don't know that I would change much that I do. We visually look at them and sort them for size and get them pretty close, but it would really be one step farther to actually weigh them as they go through, and we could sort them that way. Currently, no, but I would be up for it.
All right, one last question.
Have you ever tried or thought of multi-min 90 also when you're processing your calves?
One time we had a copper deficiency, and we did give the cows and calves multi-min 90 that fall. Now that this has been brought back up, I think I am going to check into it again and just do it as a precautionary thing if we are going to run them through again one more time, and probably give them all a mineral shot. They're just worth so darn much money now that a couple more dollars to do this is probably well worth it. So I'm gonna check into it. Thanks for that comment.
All right, we're gonna take a look at the video, 3 people versus 150 calves, and Ellie has the first question.
Matt, do you ever wonder what a 9-to-5 job would be like?
Sometimes I do, and actually back when I was in my 20s, I had a carpenter business, so I was self-employed then, and one winter I thought I was gonna have to go get a job, and I went to the interview, and my chest started to get tight, and I started freaking out when I went in the factory door, and I talked to the lady for maybe 15 minutes, and I ran out the door, and I never went back and looked for another job again. That was 30 some years, well, probably 30 years ago now. Not quite, probably 27 years ago. So yeah, some days I think it would be cool to have a job where you could leave it there, but most of the time, no. I'm really blessed to have the opportunity to do what we're doing.
Agreed. He's well suited for what he's doing. All right, the next question is, only 150 head?
So I don't know if he was joking or not or whatever, it doesn't matter, but I like to keep our groups of cows at 150 head because that way 2 people can handle that amount of cattle. We can run that many calves through the chute timely. It doesn't turn into a big, long, arduous day of work for the animals or the people. And then, of course, you can run as many cows as you really want, essentially, if you keep them in groups of 150, because you only got to do the 150 that are in front of you. That's why we kind of stick with that size.
And add on to that, what we find is a benefit, you know, as far as moving them or feeding them also.
Well, you could keep them in their appropriate age groups. It is a little, like you say, when you go out to feed, you can take 1 bale of hay, they all get a chance. You try to feed 600 cows in a group, you can't get enough feed out there timely to get them all a bite, I guess. So
questions from the video. This got out of hand.
Do you get, wait, what was it? Sorry, my bad. Do you get extra for part Wagyu?
So that's the plan. We've been in this Wagyu deal now for 3 years. There is a premium back on them this year. Last year there wasn't, because the regular cattle market spiked so fast. There was no extra money on the Wagyu deal. But this year there is a premium back on them. Usually so many cents per 100, depending on the size of the calf.
Well, the other one is, are the calves you worked in this video still Wagyu since you bought them out of a sale barn?
Yep. So those all came out of Fort Pierre. We knew that guy, and they were all bred to Wagyu or red black, which is basically a Wagyu bull. It's a red, bigger frame, but still Wagyu. So yes, those were all bred the same way. And actually the guy got the bulls, I think, from the same place we were getting our bulls from. So pretty much the same thing.
The next question is, how old are your calves when you wean them?
We're gonna wean this year when we get back from Las Vegas, which will be like the second week of December. Do the math, they start being born the middle of May. So you got June, July, August, September, October, November, December. They're gonna be 7 months, or that'll be the oldest calf will be 7 months, which is what, 210 days? Most of them will be around that 180 to 100, 200 days old when we wean them.
Okay, and the last question from this video is, what is in the shots that you're injecting, or basically what are you vaccinating for?
So the vaccine's been pretty much the same for quite a few years. They'll get a 7-way, which has your clostridials in it, and a black leg. Other ones, that's a real common 7 or 8-way shot. And then you'll have a 5-way, which will have your IBR, BVD, I think, and then that one has a Pasturilla, which is an ammonia vaccine. We were giving them intranasal, which is an Enforce 3, which goes in the nose. That has got the same 3. I think it's got like IBR and P1 and P3 maybe or something, but it doesn't have the BVD, which is the bovine venereal diarrhea, I think is that one. But the Enforce goes into the nose, and that goes directly into their lungs, which is a quicker response, is why you do it in the nose. Wow, that got long.
And the good news is Matt does a lot of research, and we work with some vets to make some good decisions. So thanks for the question. All right, we're looking at the video Day in the Life of a South Dakota Rancher. And the first question is, when is your deer season? Is it whitetail?
Yep, we're on the east side of South Dakota. We don't have very few or very many mule deer, if any, and they'd be closer to the river. So we're all whitetail, and I believe it varies every year, but it's like usually the 3rd week of November, and it's like a 2-week season for gun.
Tell us newbies about your neckerchiefs and why you wear them.
Those are silk wild rags, I guess, and I don't know, they're kind of for warmth is why I wear them. I get all mine from Wild Rags by Lois. I think she sold her business to someone else, but they still call it Wild Rags by Lois. You could go check that out. She was a really nice gal. We always would go visit her at the stock shows, and she'd be out to Vegas and
Met her in Rapid City.
in Rapid City at the Black Hill Stock Show. So
Plus, he looks really good, right? They look good on him. And he's really brave. Like a lot of us, like me, start with a plain color one, but he went with the wild designs, and yeah, they look great. Next question, can you cut one of the door panels in half? I'm guessing that's for the horse door.
the garage door on the back of the barn, I think I got it figured out. We're just gonna leave 1 or 1.5 off. There was one panel that was a little smaller, and then we're gonna take one off. So we're gonna make that thing work. Yeah.
Alrighty, we'll take a look at the video, high quality bulls versus low quality corral. And the question is, when are the t-shirts coming?
You should just answer that one, Sassy.
Okay, well currently we don't have any t-shirts on there, but we have some what we think is pretty cool merch. It's on ranchinsodak.com. You can get a hat with Ranching Sodak and a tumbler, and then a note card, one from me, pictures I've taken, or you can get a set of leather work gloves that are branded with an actual brand with our Ranching Sodak logo, and a coffee mug, like a ceramic coffee mug, and a Wagyu bar, a small little sampler Wagyu bar, and another note card. So check it out, ranchinsodak.com.
Is Jim your father-in-law?
So Jim, you see him in the videos. No, he's not. He's just a neighbor that we actually bought our first quarter of land from him. And he's been kind of like a father to me, and I've been kind of like a son to him. He's been really good to us. We moved up here. We're first generation ranchers. We both grew up on farms, but we are first generation up here where we're at, and Jim's helped us out a ton.
So he doesn't have a real title, but it's like family by choice. So yeah, we love Jim and Carla and their gang, and they've been a great part of our lives. All right, next question. What happened to Phyllis and her gullet?
Phyllis in the gullet comment, or the closing deal, that was off The Office. If you guys ever watched the show The Office. So that was kind of a catchphrase I was using for a while, and my catchphrases kind of morph if you've been with me since the beginning. So who knows what will be next, or if Phyllis will ever come back. We'll never know.
All right, looking at some questions from the video, major upgrades on the ranch.
Where do you get all your pipes?
I get my pipes when I do a bunch of push-ups at night. I'm sure you were talking about my arms. Is that what you guys were talking? Those pipes are from a sugar refinery or a sugar plant up in North Dakota, where they take sugar beets and do what they do to sugar beets to make sugar. And those pipes are in that building to do some, I suppose it's boiler stuff or whatever. But anyways, they have to change those out every so many years. I buy them from a guy up there that kind of scrapped out all that stuff. So that's where they come from.
All right, the question is, why not a sliding door? And we're talking about the back door on the shed, I'm guessing.
So the back door of the shed, if I was gonna do a slider, I was gonna put the sliding door on the inside. And as it turns out, we have that tub pushed all the way back, and it's actually in between the poles going deeper than even the inside of the building to get as much room at the front of that building so the chute's not sticking out the front door. And if you know me, the Facebook marketplace, finding a used or a new door that somebody can't use for half the price of new and driving an hour to go pick it up, that $20 of fuel and a little bit of time to me is well worth going and scouring the Facebook market world to find a deal. So that's what I did.
All right, we're taking a look at our last video here. One man's scrap is another man's treasure.
How is Millie doing?
So Millie had dislocated her elbow, which is that final joint up before the shoulder. Sassy Pants can tell you what the vet told her.
All right, so she got hung up on the flatbed, and the good news is, well, we did have to go quite a ways to a vet, a couple hundred miles, but they were great, and they popped it back in. Luckily, it wasn't the little hook bone, it was the one that just slid around, but she has some ligament damage, and the hardest part for Millie is she actually feels pretty good, and it's hard for her to be calm and settle down. So spending a lot of time in the entryway, which is challenging for Millie, but she's doing great. Thanks for your interest. Keep her in mind. All right, our next question. Have you ever tried sprint car tires for the mats?
No, but we sure could. I don't know who you'd get a hold of or where you would get enough of them. Obviously, if you just had 3 or 4 sets, that's not enough to make many mats or maybe whatever. So you kind of need to get in the right group of guys where you had access to them. But to my understanding, they're fatter and maybe slicker, but definitely wider. It'd be worth checking into.
All right. The question is, have you tried propane versus acetylene for the cutting torch?
No, I know of a propane torch. I guess I have known, or I have, how do you say it? I'm familiar with guys that have had those. I have never ran one. I don't know what the difference is, if there is much of a difference, but ours is acetylene, and that's what we use. Look at this. I've never seen a double plow like this before, but I'm pretty sheltered. That thing's got like an extra wing ding out there so you can do 2 lanes.
Hey, we got one last question here. It's from a guy who knows our style pretty well. From Delaware Mike, he said, might I suggest tacking the socket to the mower shaft? Question mark.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm either gonna have to a little container there where I can leave a socket and a drill hookup for that deal, but I'm not sure. The chances of us having the right socket on there or handy for that gearbox is going to be slim to none at times, but I think we're going to be all right. Good to hear from you, Mike. All right, folks, that was the end of the porch talk. Since it is Black Friday, I'm going to do one more question, 25% of one more question. So here goes. All
right, here's the 25% bonus package. Love your ranching ingenuity, and I was wondering if
that's only 25% of the question. And I would totally agree. That is a very, very good point. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks to Ellie. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.